Hey everyone, and welcome back to Be or Not to Be with Michelle and Austin. What are we talking about today?
So, the topic of today is conspiracy theories.
Dun dun dun!
And just for everyone who's listening, we talk about conspiracy theories a lot. Like,
time.
we don't mean to bring it up, but somehow the conversation ends up there. It can be about a new theory, or it can be just out of the blue talking about something, and all of a sudden it's like, ooh, that's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah. And just a precursor, this is going to be kind of a prequel to what we're presenting to you guys next week, which is the start of October and the start of Halloween month. So this is just kind of getting your minds geared towards something a little bit more, I want to say spooky, but a little bit curious.
Yeah, with a little Halloween touch.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Anyways, so we've pulled together 4 conspiracy theories. Some of them are a little bit more lighthearted than others. And some of them are a little bit less, I guess, conspiracy and more just kind of like weird,
Yeah.
unsolvable mysteries.
And we decided to pick ones that aren't super mainstream because we all know or heard of the Illuminati, the green lizard or reptile.
Oh, the lizard people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've heard about Area 51. Like, we wanted to kind of touch upon theories that some people may not even know.
Yeah. And these are personal theories that we've personally ran into and we really love and care deeply about.
And actually, ones we've actually talked about all within this year.
Yeah. We've actually, I think, discussed this on car rides to random places.
To work, to the gym.
Yeah, just like discussing all of like the conspiracies behind them, the theories that we have, anything.
Having our minds blown.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a little bit, I would say it could be kind of scary. And especially some of the theories we're talking about could,
Super thought-provoking.
yeah, it could lead down some rabbit holes, but it's all in good-natured fun. And we're not experts here. We're just fans of the theories, so...
We just love ourselves a good conspiracy theory.
Yeah, so, if you hear anything wrong, we did research on this, but we're not experts.
When it comes to theories like this, remember, always check for yourself too.
Yeah.
Before you just blindly believe. We're just sharing theories that we have knowledge about, we did some research on, but as any good conspiracy theorists know, you have to check the facts yourself.
Yeah.
So why don't you start us off with our first theory, B?
Okay, V. So this is my personal favorite theory of all time. It's one that you know because I've talked about a ton.
He actually introduced me to this one. I never knew about it.
This is my gateway into conspiracy theories because this isn't exactly a conspiracy theory. It's proven to be true, but the mystery behind it is still unsolved. So there's theories behind that. We'll go over that a little bit later, but for now, let me introduce you to Cicada 3301.
Ooh. I'm ready.
Okay.
Go, B.
I'm reading off a script, by the way, so don't clock me. A name given to a secret faceless organization of intelligent individuals who started one of the most elaborate scavenger hunts ever posted on the internet. On 3 occasions, they posted a series of complex puzzles, taking on both mental and physical forms, open for the public to attempt. But this wasn't a hunt for the average computer user. This puzzle utilizes the skills of cryptography, programming, computer networks, steganography, math, and even a bit of literature and numerology. This hunt was designed to find the best of the best.
Whoa.
It's getting intense. So
how did it start?
So it started on January 4th of 2012 using the pseudonym of 3301. They posted an image on 4chan telling users where there was a hidden message within the image. I actually have that image pulled up. I'm going to read off what it actually says. So it says, "Hello, we are looking for highly intelligent individuals. To find them, we have devised a test. There is a hidden message in this image. Find it, and it will lead you on the road to finding us. We look forward to meeting the few that will make it all the way through. Good luck, 3301. So from there, users thought that it was just a troll, while some were just up for the challenge. One user found out using a text editor they were presented with readable text strings, and deciphering it, they were onto the next image. Stumping users, people thought this would lead nowhere until someone used a program called Outguess. They found messages embedded within the message and again presented them with a link to a subreddit about a book called the Mabinogian?
Mabinogian?
Mabinogion, if you are curious about looking that up. Sorry, again, we're not professionals at this, we're just fans. Breaking it down, they found a code to call a phone number which played a pre-recorded message. They then had to do some numerology to move on to the next step. Getting this far, people were asked questions on who is behind this, where they would find the next clues, if this was a prank or not. Users persevered. Oh my god. Reading off a script. It's been a long day, I'm sorry. Users persevered wanting to know what the end game was. So after the phone message, users decoded the next puzzle and were led to the site with a countdown. Once the time was up, there were locations all over the world. Hawaii, Seattle, UK, Poland, Seoul, Australia, just to name a few, for users to find. Upon getting to the coordinates, there was a flyer with a cicada picture and a QR code, but it didn't end there. Users were led to a riddle, to a book, to a website. Whoa, that's a thing. To a website where only the first couple users were invited to join the organizations. Once the scavenger was completed, 3301 posted another Reddit saying they found the individuals they were looking for, and that for those who didn't make it, there will be more opportunities in the future, thus completing the 2012 Cicada 3301 puzzle. But this was only the beginning.
But dang, for the first puzzle, it was like messages were inside messages, like codes were inside pictures. It was like an Inception level. Like one, like are my favorite, one of my favorite animes, Naruto. Like Kakashi says, you have to see what's underneath the underneath.
Yeah, I think you have to really understand philosophies, I think, in order to really get these codes. So, for example, like, I think there's something called the Caesar cipher where you had to move letters like four digits down.
The Caesar alphabet where it's 4 letters moved down and it's like a code.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, like for most people don't even know what that is. And then for someone who's figuring this out to like, oh, let me just try this. Like this is out of the box thinking.
Mm-hmm. It's super insane. And plus the fact that it went from not only the digital world to but real life where you had to find
to
a
the
scavenger.
physical world.
Yeah.
You get coordinates to go to these places. And from the video I watched, there was just posters in typical places. It wasn't like in some random streets. No, it was just like on a telephone pole, and you just get the QR code and you're good.
Yeah. So I guess like the script didn't really explain this, but there was actually I think there was like 15 like different locations in total or something like that, a little bit more maybe. But really you only needed 2 codes too. So that tells you 2 things. One, that there's not just one person running this entire organization.
No way.
And 2 is that you don't really have to look as far as you think you do in order to get what you need to know. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like this thing where I think they're trying to lead you on to think that they're really big, but at the same time they're a small group of people. So you don't really know. That's the mystery of all of this.
It's kind of interesting because Hawaii, like who would think, you know, like we're just a small island in the middle of the ocean. Like, but then apparently from this movie I watched, we have some top secret stuff on this island I didn't know. Mm-hmm. But so it's just interesting, like here, Hawaii of all places.
I know.
They put a QR code here.
It's super random. They put it in North Shore, I think.
Like the farthest thing that's from technology, I swear to God.
Yeah, I know. It was like on a random telephone wire pole in the middle of nowhere.
I would get if it was in Waikiki or Honolulu, but maybe they wanted to make it a journey to get out there.
I feel like if it was like somewhere downtown or whatever, it'd be graffitied like immediately. Right. Which I feel like they would have known that. So, but who knows? You know, maybe we're thinking too much into this.
Yeah. So does the puzzle end here, B?
Of course not. There is another puzzle posted in January again of 2013. So this time, 3301 posted a message on the internet ready to recruit more coders. Just like the first, users had to decipher a message from the original post, led to a book, to a website link containing runes which would be important for the future, then to a cryptic tweet. Then finally, taking physical form again in a reality, users were given coordinates to go to. Once again, the first arrivals were selected, but no following message to end the search like the first one. So this one, I'm a little hazy on the whole, like, the puzzle behind it. So
I think they were kind of also covering their tracks because after the first one kind of blew up, people tried to mimic and pretend to be 3301 and create puzzles like this. So I remember for the second puzzle, 3301 put some kind of code on the bottom of their message to let people know that this was the legit 3301.
just imagine that's like their way of like verifying like that little blue check.
Oh, yeah.
next to their name.
This is like the secret dark world, right? They can't be having no blue check marks.
It's so strange to think that like ARG is like it blows up so big that it needs to be verified by like other users to know that it's
Yeah.
real. Like it's a crazy world we live in right now.
So if the puzzle ended like that, did the puzzles end?
Of course not. I love your transitions, by the way. It's really good. So the third puzzle was published again in January 2014. The same thing happened. A post from 3301, an image, a book, a link, basically the same as the others, except the puzzle was focused on the book Liber Primus, which
Liber Primus.
which translates to first book, written by cicada themselves. The book was written in the runic alphabet from 2013, and once decoded, talked about the philosophy and ideology. One page even translated to a link page within the deep web, and another led to a recording. Only roughly 20 pages were decrypted out of the 70 plus total pages, and the puzzle ended there. So, I remember reading about the Liber Primus a little bit. It was kind of like almost like a Bible, like a reflection of the Bible almost. And it was crazy because they had not only just like text on there that was like encrypted by Cicada 3301, but they also had like these like these black symbols, almost kind of like Morse code.
Yeah.
Like encrypted on the pages, and it was insane. I think the way you had to find the pages though, it was like a scavenger hunt to keep unlocking each page. And I think
There was like 120, or was it? It was either 70 or 120 pages, and so far to this day, only like half of it is decoded.
yeah. So I mean, that's even crazier. Like just to think like somebody is so smart, they devised like an entire like book that can't even be decoded by anybody.
Oh, here, actually, it says that only 20 pages were decrypted out of the 70-something total pages.
That's insane.
That doesn't even seem like a lot.
So,
But, you know, like, since this was done in 2014, it's kind of mind-blowing that, you know, like, these are some smart people, you know, they are made to break code, but they're still working on this. Isn't that crazy?
It's insane because you not only have like cryptologists working on this, but you have like random run-of-the-mill people like just like running to solve the one goal is to like find out who they are, what they're looking for.
Yeah, and to be this complex, like they're seriously, like they said, looking for the best of the best.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's weird.
So if they had a puzzle for 2012, 2013, 2014, what happened in 2015?
Says 2015 came with no post from Cicada, leading people to believe that the entire Liber Primus needed to be decoded, and this was confirmed in 2016 when Cicada posted a message saying Liber Primus would lead the way. Years have gone by, and now in 2018, there has been no word from 3301. Sobi, who's behind the Cicada organizations?
It's interesting because there is no answer. It's some people speculated in the beginning that it was possibly the government or the military who were recruiting individuals, and this kind of test where, you know, like you're on a scavenger hunt of this caliber is common. I mean, obviously, if you're a government, you want the best, and the best way to test them is something like this, using different platforms, programs, out of the box thinking. So people speculated it was government, military, or even international corporations.
So what would organizations or international organizations want with like random run of the mill programmers?
Well, if they're international, maybe they need some kind of internet protection because they don't want to be hacked. Especially, let's say if you're talking about an international bank,
True.
or if you're a bank, let's say Switzerland, you have all these rich people. So I think they're just looking for protection, and you rather have the best on your team, right?
That's true. But I feel like my theory on that is that if they really wanted to recruit the best of the best, wouldn't they already have the best of the best for making the plans?
But the thing is, like, even if you go to the best school and you have the best resume, some people are just naturally gifted, and sometimes it's the guy who's still living with his mom that has has some crazy skills because all he does is spend his time on the computer. But besides like some kind of corporation or like entity, some say that this quest was set out by a computer whiz who just did this for fun with too much time on their hands. And some say it's actually a preliminary test to an intense recruitment program set by MI16 or such organizations. Apparently, a organization called GCHQ runs a similar sort of recruitment program, but is not as intense or complex as Cicada 3301. And we don't know any of this for sure. Like, we don't know who is this organization or what their motives are, because no winner of Cicada 3301 has ever come forward to reveal what the ultimate price was. But there was one person, or I think there was actually one winner who kind of alluded that after they won, they got an email from 3301 and they were taken to go to the deep web where they could converse without being tracked.
I'm still wondering though, like what exactly is, I guess, what do we know about them so far? And then like what is their end goal? Like what do you think the end goal is?
Honestly, I don't think I can even wrap my mind around it. But this same winner kind of gave a little shined a little light on what Cicada wanted. So he said that they were an international group that believes privacy is a given right. On a leaked email from Cicada, they asked 3 questions to the winners. Do you believe every human has a right to privacy and anonymity and is within their rights to use tools which helps to obtain and maintain privacy, cache, strong encryption, software, etc.? Question 2, do you believe information should be free? Question 3, do you believe censorship harms humanity? And this aspect of the scavenger hunt is uncommon, especially for like governments and huge corporations, because they wouldn't ask questions like this.
Yeah.
So we presented all the information we have. Now, what are your thoughts on this organization? Because like you said in the beginning, this is one of your favorites.
It is one of my favorites. So I'm gonna say, and I'm sorry, FBI, if you're watching, please don't like hurt me or anything like that. I promise you. I don't think they're a government entity, and here's why. When the deep web was first introduced as a Tor browser, it was actually a government-funded project. And the reason why it's as an open source program, why everybody can use it, is because they needed testers in the beginning. And so like they just opened up to the public to like use and whatever. So if like based off the questions that Cicada asked in the email, like, do you think the internet should be free? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, would the government really be asking those kind of questions, knowing that they were the ones who developed like the deep web, the almighty deep web?
I don't think so, because they want to censor. They want to have us think a certain way.
Exactly. So It's kind of one of those things where you have to kind of like think about, I guess, like the morals behind like what led them to believe this and whatever, especially since Cicada was communicating almost, not entirely, but a good portion of it through the deep web. Like they're using like onion routers, everything like that. So I don't necessarily think it's a government one. I don't necessarily think it's an corporation.
Me neither. I don't think so.
Yeah, I do think, I don't know. I've heard a rumor that it was based like that. I think Anonymous was like recruiting people.
Oh, yeah, right?
Yeah, so this was the test for Anonymous, but I mean, even then, it's like I don't think Anonymous really like recruits people like this intensely
Right.
because they're hackers technically.
Right.
Like first and foremost, they wouldn't be asking like philosophical questions either. So it's kind of a mystery. I don't really know. It's I feel like almost like if we're gonna go down the deep web rabbit hole, like you have like the deep web, the dark web, and then right below that is Mariana's web.
Yeah, oh
Maybe
my God.
maybe they're excavators. Maybe they're trying to find Mariana's web. Who knows, man? Who knows? But I don't really know. I still I'm like I've been thinking about this for like a year now, and I still have no idea what to think of it. But what do you think?
Honestly, with how complex and like how many tools you need to even get to like the first couple, like get through the first couple puzzles, they are really looking for the best. So I feel like this is kind of like a individual group, or team of highly skilled hackers, coders, and by looking at the questions they ask, part of me feels like they're the kind of people that know a lot. You know, we don't know really what our government, we don't know what really goes on behind the scenes. But I feel like these people, they kind of have, I feel like maybe they learned too much and they're so bothered. And now they kind of want to do something that whatever they can, but they don't want people who are just average.
Yeah.
They're literally looking for the best. So I don't know. I just feel like this is some kind of like group of maybe 30 to 50 people, because the more people you have, the more likely it is to let these secrets out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one thing is like they recruit these people with a complex test, but how do they trust these people? I mean, so far, no one's come forward to say what happened, right? Or where Cicada went. So, whatever they're doing, something is like they're doing it right.
I know. It's crazy because like there are like those speculations where, like I said, it could be like an ARG, augmented reality game.
Yes, there is that theory. And can you kind of explain to everyone what that theory is?
So I guess I could give you an example. So when the Halo 3 got launched, the Halo 3, I think?
2.
Halo 2, the game got launched. Pre that, there was an ARG that was being surfaced online. And basically, it was kind of like the same idea, except watered down immensely because like this is the coder's like nightmare, like Cicada 3301. But basically it had to make them solve puzzles, they had to go on different websites, they had to call phone numbers, and it all led up to this one day where they were led to a specific location. I forget where it was.
Wow, this sounds so familiar.
I know, right? But the end of the result was the people who won, the people who like solved all the puzzles, they got the first sneak peek gameplay at the new Halo game that came out. So that's kind of what an augmented reality game is. It's basically taking like a puzzle, putting it online, and like just kind of like living through it. It was called like it's like called Free the Bees or something like that, or Save the Bees, which is kind of like relevant to us.
Save the Bees.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So it's like
I like that name.
yeah, it started on a Honey website or something like that. So people had to crack the codes on the Honey website. It was a pretty interesting theory. But that's my tangent on ARGs. That's basically what an ARG is. So, I mean, you think about it, it's very possible this could just be ARG, Cicada 3301. But at the same time, like how much effort do you really have to put in to make an ARG?
And this one was really complex.
Yeah.
Like one of the hardest ones.
Yeah, so I think I wouldn't rule it out as not being an ARG, but I would
Right.
say it's highly unlikely to be ARG because it's so complex. Like there's no point in making it this complex without a reason. So
And looking at especially what they stand for by those 3 questions, it seems like a kind of a vendetta. Like they're on a mission.
yeah, they're finding the best of the best, right?
Right? So it's September of 2018. So in October, November, December, in 4 months, we'll see if another Cicada 3301 test surfaces again.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe they're waiting for 2020 every 4 years, the presidential election.
Oh God.
Oh wait, 2015, right? Every 5 years, maybe.
Oh man. I wonder what that's going to be like.
Oh my God. Anyways, Shall we move on to the next theory?
Yes. And this is actually a theory I just found out about this year, and it kind of blew my mind that this was a thing. Yeah, so without further ado, let's just get into this because I want to blow your guys' mind. So now, a lot of us learned in school that the Earth is round. From globes to pictures from NASA, movies, and science classes, it's an unquestionable truth. Just like how 2 + 2 = 4, fire burns, the Earth is round. Or is it? Currently, there's a following of people who believe that the Earth is flat, and this conspiracy is called the Flat Earth Theory.
Ooh.
So, you guys may be wondering, what the heck is the Flat Earth Theory? So, Flat Earthers, as they call themselves, believe that the Earth is a flat, disc-like shape rather than the round globe that we are taught. Now, I know a lot of you are probably thinking, if that's true, then why haven't people fallen off the face of the Earth like in Pirates of the Caribbean? Or where's the edge of the world? Surely some people would have fallen off already. Well, the Flat Earthers actually have a response to that. Besides believing the Earth is just flat and disc-like, they have a theory on the format of the Earth. So let's go to like an aerial perspective. Looking through a Flat Earther's lens, on this disc, the North Pole is at the center, and Antarctica makes up the outer rim of this disc, creating an ice wall believed to be 150 feet high to prevent anyone or anything from falling off the face of the Earth, and keeps the Earth's ocean from emptying out over the edge. This ice wall totally gives me Game of Thrones vibes, and this B doesn't watch Game of Thrones, so he wouldn't know.
No, I
but
have no idea.
You all know that, like that ice wall at the north. I'm totally getting vibes of that. And so Flat Earthers also explain seasons, like the sun spins around the Earth. So we're going back to ancient Greek time with these beliefs. And the tides are controlled by a magnet at the center of the Earth. So knowing this, I guess your next question would be, if there really is this huge ice wall, why hasn't anyone gone over to the wall and see it for themselves? Simple. It's because of the Antarctic Treaty. In the late 50s, a treaty was signed by numerous countries, including the major power countries, that's us, to restrict access to Antarctica. The area is not to be used for military exercises. No one nation can claim the land as their own, but they can conduct scientific research. And they discourage any activities from countries who are not part of the treaty. So the Flat Earthers believe that this treaty is also an agreement to prevent the average Joe from getting too close. There are many expeditions and adventures to see Antarctica, but the area is closely monitored. And if you venture too far, you will meet resistance that will tell you to turn around. So the Flat Earthers also think that this Antarctic Treaty is a thing because if you look at the United Nations flag, it looks like the flat Earth model, so they say.
Oh my god. I mean, also, reversing that theory, people, like the Flat Earthers could have based their model off of the flag.
True.
So, I mean, really.
Mm-hmm. So this makes Flat Earthers believe that the countries are working together to hide this ice wall and what lies behind it. So it makes us curious as to what are these countries hiding, if they're hiding anything. Aliens? Resources? The controls that control this reality we live in? We can save that conspiracy for another time.
Oh my god, that's like a metaphysical theory.
An attendee at the 2018 Flat Earthers Convention mentioned that...
Oh my god, there's a convention.
It actually happened recently. I think in June of 2018, there was... I don't know. It was somewhere in America. I'm embarrassed to say. But there was like a group of people who traveled from around the world to go to this Flat Earthers Convention. So one guy over there, he mentioned that many of them believe that beyond the ice wall, there are more land masses with another ring of ice walls around that, and that the government doesn't want us to know about that.
Oh my god. Okay, I have questions, but we'll get to them later.
Okay.
We'll get to them later.
So, okay, those were just like some flat earth like believers, whatever. So, you're all thinking, okay, they're all wrong. We have pictures of the earth from NASA. Man has went to the moon. But to flat earthers, man has not been to the moon. It was all an elaborate hoax to make people believe that we did, especially since during this time when man went to the moon, it was during the Cold War, and I guess the Russians sent out a satellite. So I think it was JFK who was like, man, we gotta get out there. And so, sorry, I think it was JFK. I don't know my American history. But they call NASA liars, and they say that all the images of the Earth that we see are not a solid picture of Earth. Like, there's no way you can get that one picture, like that one round picture of Earth in one shot.
I think there was another theory, another conspiracy theory, that Stanley Kubrick, who's famously directed The Shining, helped stage the moon landing.
Yes.
So,
and apparently people are saying, because if you look at the footage, then the flag is blowing in the wind. But if you're in outer space, there is no wind.
Yeah.
You're in a vacuum. They also said that they just wanted people to think that man has been there. So, I mean, if, again, like I said at the beginning, you have to fact check all this yourself. But if you look into it more, flat earthers, like, they do not trust NASA at all. But then I'm just thinking, so what are we spending billions and billions and billions of dollars on?
Movie productions, I guess.
So, like I said, there is a flat earth society / convention. And you would think that these people who believe in this are uneducated or from the middle of nowhere. But apparently, this convention had people from all walks of life. Average people, some YouTubers, and even a doctor was there. Basically, it was a gathering of people who can agree on one thing. The Earth is flat.
Oh my God.
And that, everyone, is flat Earth theory. So, now that I presented the beliefs, I'm not calling it facts. The beliefs. What are your thoughts on it?
Okay, I have several questions running through my head at once. My biggest thing is, do flat earthers believe in global warming?
You know, I probably don't think they do.
Because, like, you have to think about that, right? It's a 150-foot wall of ice. So if that wall melts, wouldn't that basically mean that it's opposite what's happening, right? Because that would mean the sea levels are lowering instead of rising because the water is going to be seeping off the edge of the Earth. Exactly. That also brings up a good question, too. Do they believe in gravity?
No. Good question. They don't believe in gravity. They believe that there is this thing called a firmament, which is like a dome-like barrier that kind of keeps us all grounded. So if you think of a snow globe, that's what it looks like.
It's like that one TV show. I forget what it was called, but it was basically like there was a giant dome over the town, and they had to live in.
So they don't believe in gravity. They believe, I don't know, they believe that this disc is continually going up in outer space. Like, we're continually moving. And they were like, that's the fact that we're constantly moving up. I think they said at like 9 or 10 miles per hour. They're like, that's what is keeping us grounded. And they were like, if the Earth was spinning like you guys say it is, how come we're not banging into the wall? And I'm just thinking, when you're standing on a train, you know, like, and you're walking in the train, how come you're not, like, your question is like asking, why aren't you being pushed back? Yeah. It's like, come on.
I know. I'm just like thinking too, though, like, realistically speaking, if, like, how do you explain the seasons at that point? Because if we're moving up, right, if we're just constantly moving up in space, like, how would you explain, like, the sun passing around the Earth in 365 days? Like, to me, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Because they actually, oh my God, you're asking the right questions. So for seasons, they say the sun spins around the Earth, right? Right. Which is what gives us seasons. So when the sun is closest to the Earth, that's summer. But as it's, you know, going around, it's winter. I don't know. I have never talked to a flat earther. I'm just like going off what the internet said.
Okay, wait, so let me get this straight. They think that the Earth is the center of the universe.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we're going back to ancient Greek time.
My God. So basically, the sun, a huge, massive fire, is going to be circling around our tiny ass little Earth.
Yep. Because
God.
Apparently we're the biggest thing that happened since the Big Bang.
I guess so, man. But whatever.
When I first heard about this theory, I was kind of mind blown that, you know, people truly don't believe the Earth is round, and I just want to like I respect each and every one of our listeners, and if you believe the Earth is flat, then to each their own.
Yeah.
To each their own.
I think we can honestly say like we don't necessarily support the theory, but you know, if you support it, like it's all for you, man. Like,
Yeah.
do you?
Do you?
Yeah. No disrespect going here. We're
just kind of like trying to understand what you're thinking.
Yeah.
But apparently there are some famous people that kind of believe the Earth is flat. Apparently Kyrie Irving, he's a basketball player. He, I don't know if tweeted or said something about flat Earth, and then people kind of like went after him, and he was like, "Guys, I was just joking." But was he really? And there was like this rapper B.O.B. who believes.
B.O.B. believes the Earth is flat.
I think so. I'm pretty sure I saw his name on that list.
Oh my God, he doesn't believe in price tags, and he does not believe in flat Earths, I guess.
But I'm kind of, you know, one thing that flat earthers that they do is like they question things. Like they haven't been up there, so how would you know? But I feel like with something as big as this, there's no way you can have all the nations in one world agree to hide this fact.
Yeah.
We can barely agree on anything.
Yeah.
So it's like, you think we could band together on a secret like this? Someone would have spilled the beans.
Yeah, like also too, like it doesn't really make sense to me because you're thinking that like this treaty would have happened to have been made way before any of the nations were even severed, because the polar ice caps weren't able to be discovered or whatever, right? They won't be able to cross anything, because otherwise the secrets of aliens are going to be revealed or whatever.
It's not at Area 51, everyone. It's beyond the polar caps.
So like to me, I'm just thinking like, in order for this theory to be real, like this treaty must have happened somewhere before any of the nations were actually discovered, or like I guess like unified and then broken apart after. Mm-hmm. So it wouldn't really, I mean, to me it's far-fetched, because that means like, how many countries are there in the world? Like 200 or something like that. It's tons.
Yeah.
And it's like you're saying like every world leader can agree that you can't cross the Antarctica, because otherwise you're gonna fall off the Earth, or you're gonna see something you're not supposed to see. Mm-hmm. It's hard to believe.
Although, like, I very much believe we have been to space, and that, you know, we can go to space, obviously. Sometimes I do kind of question that, like, did man really go to space all the way back then, like with the technology they had?
Yeah,
like it's hard to believe, you know, like we all believe it, but it's just hard to believe.
Yeah, I think for me too, like I don't question the fact that we've been to space. I'm sure we've been to space already, and I'm sure, you know, at one point we did hit the moon. It's possible, it is very possible that the moon landing was staged and it was faked.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because apparently there was footage going around of people who work at NASA. If you ask them for the original moon landing files, they said that it was all it got messed up, basically. They're unusable.
Encrypted or something. Yeah. Like I don't know if I can believe that or not. I don't want to say like yes, and I don't want to say no. I'm just gonna say I really don't know. But I would say that is very believable. The flat Earth is a little hard to believe.
It's just hard.
Yeah.
Although, like, I would love to go up to space and kind of see it for myself, that, you know, like, the Earth is round, like, just to kind of reassure, you know, like, I mean, I know it's round, but I kind of just want to see it for myself and see how beautiful it is.
Yeah. I mean, there's no use, like, going in circles about this. I think we both can come to the conclusion that we don't believe in the flat Earth theory, but power to the people who do.
You know, you all can believe whatever you want, but I was actually explaining this theory to my dad and stepmom, and they had no idea what this theory was. So it was pretty interesting to like explain it to them, and they were kind of like, What are you talking about?
No way is possible, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, B, you want to move on to the next theory?
Yes, and I think our viewers are gonna really like this one, to be honest, because it's something you guys can actually relate to.
Yeah, and it's definitely, I feel like, I know conspiracy theories aren't necessarily, I guess, nostalgic or anything like that, but there are like those theories that kind of touch upon our childhood a little bit, and it affects the way we grew up.
And that's exactly what this one does, B.
Yeah.
So, everyone, have you ever remembered something so clearly and surely only to find out that you were wrong? Whether it was a fact about your favorite movie that you watched more times than you can count, or a book that you always read as a kid, even a lyric to a popular song? Now, have you and a group of friends both been wrong about something you all so clearly remembered? This phenomenon is called the Mandela effect.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, again, what is the Mandela effect? The Mandela effect is when everyone remembers something one way, but it is now different than how we remember it. It's not just you or a friend that have shoddy memories, it's a collective misremembering of a fact or event. So, a little origin as to why it's called the Mandela effect. It's because of the historical figure Nelson Mandela. Now, if you paid attention to the history lessons, you know that he was in prison for most of his life, specifically 27 or so years, because he was fighting to overthrow South Africa's apartheid rule. Well, a lot of people remembered him dying in prison in the 80s. Remember reading about it, riots, speeches made in his honor, even his wife crying about him. But then it turned out that he actually died on December 5th, 2013, after being released in the 90s. People were shook. They saw the headline, Nelson Mandela has just died this year. And they were so confused because a lot of people remember it being in the 80s. So it kind of sparked this phenomenon to be called the Mandela effect. That's how this conspiracy got its name. And this theory itself has only come to light, not recently, but within the last 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little on the newer side, but it really took off, I think, in 2012 and 2016.
Yeah.
So now that you have an idea of what this theory is, let's look at some really well-known examples. One of the most popular examples that kind of caused this theory to resurface was the Bernstein Bears. Now, I'm sure a lot of you remember this family-friendly book, TV series that was part of a lot of childhoods. You know, Mama Bear, Papa Bear, the son, the daughter. And even if you didn't read or watch it, you saw it in your local and school libraries, in the waiting room for the doctors or dentists, and even in the toy aisle at the store. But take a moment. How do you spell Bernstein? If you spelled it Bernstein, then you're wrong. It's spelled with an AIN at the end rather than EIN, thus making it Berenstain Bears, not Bernstein Bears. Don't worry, we both remembered this with an EIN, and trust, I was just as shocked as you guys are right now.
It's really crazy too, because not only do you remember the spelling of it, but you remember how it was, how it looked as a title.
Yes. Okay, everyone, take a moment. Remember the books, remember the intro to the TV series. What do you remember? Yeah. I remember the curvy, fat letters, kind of like a little cursive V. And I swear to God, I remember it as EIN.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. I feel like this one, it could be slipped under the radar a little bit because there are continuous E's throughout the entire name. There's one, two, three E's inside the book. So it's it makes sense, but at the same time, it's you don't remember the A at all. It's not, you don't even remember spelling or saying it Berenstain.
Yeah, I remember it as Berenstain rather than Berenstain.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that crazy?
Who even says Berenstain?
I think if anyone told me prior to this that, oh yeah, do you remember watching the Berenstain Bears? I'm like, Bernstein? Come on, buddy, I remember it. Okay, so that was a pretty shocking one. Now, the next example would be the ever classic Snow White. I remember having the VHS tape, which some of you guys, you've probably never even put a VH tape in some of the VCR that some of our listeners probably are that young. I even remember having the Snow White children's book and even a doll of her. So how could anyone misremember this popular childhood movie? Well, do you remember the phrase the queen uses to talk to the mirror bee?
Yeah.
What was it?
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?
Interesting, because a lot of people, even I remember it like that. But you're wrong. The correct phrase is magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest one of all? Mind blown. But the kind of theory behind this one is there's the Snow White kind, I think, came out in German, or like because of Grimm Tales or Grimm.
The Grimm brothers?
Grimm Brothers.
Yeah.
Because there's like different versions, like maybe it got a little lost in translation.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because people who know Snow White, they probably watched the Disney classic and they remember Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, who is the fairest of them all.
You know what's even crazier? I think even like, like Shrek, because it was a parody on like fairy tales, basically.
Yeah.
I think they even said Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, which is like, I want to say that's true or not. I can't remember. Don't fact check me. I'm just like, whatever. But I feel like, yeah, like if it went so far as like pop culture, like big production companies.
Songs, like apparel. We all remember it, Mirror, Mirror. And even like the jokes, Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. Like we remember it like that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And, it's something you like. Snow White is something you grow up with, and it's crazy that we would get something like that wrong. And finally, a look at another timeless classic. Believe it or not, but a lot of you may be remembering a popular Star Wars line completely wrong. Most of us remember the scene where Darth Vader reveals to Luke that he is his father. That memorable line be, what is it?
Luke, I am your father.
You're wrong. Again. But the true line is, no, I am your father. So, how many of you Star Wars fans got this right?
I'm not a Star Wars fan.
I'm not a Star Wars fan either.
But I do remember Luke, I am your father.
Yeah. And even, I think it was the cartoon, the Star Wars cartoon. I think they even did a play on that. And even Tumblr, come on, okay, so I'm a Tumblr user, and you people, I always see Luke, I am your father. You guys are wrong. You guys have been telling me the wrong thing. Tumblr, like, come on, I come to you guys for information.
Wait, don't call Tumblr like that. They're gonna call us out back. We love you, Tumblr.
But we do, trust me. I've been on there for like 10 years.
Yeah, how do you think we stumbled upon conspiracy
What
theories?
is air? Come on, guys, I've been there. Okay, so let's kind of be a little more interactive and let's make this fun. So let's see how well Austin remembers things. You guys can be with him and kind of get like a pen and paper to write down your answer, but I'm going to ask him what he remembers using some lesser known examples of the Mandela effect. Make sure to comment and let us know how well you remembered these. Okay, B, are you ready?
Okay, I think so.
Okay, so let's start with a popular cartoon. Pikachu's tail. Did it have a black mark at the end of it or did it not? How do you remember it?
I remember a black mark, but I think I remember it because of like Raichu too. Like didn't he have like a black one or a brown one at least?
I'm not sure about Raichu.
At the tip, something like that. I don't remember. Probably. I'm gonna say yes.
That there was a black?
Yes.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Wrong. In the original series, Pikachu does not have a mark on his tail, but you might be remembering the latest version of Pokemon because apparently the creators in the recent seasons added the black mark to his tail. So I mean, if you remember the original Pokemon, then Pikachu did not have a black mark. But I don't know why they added the black tail to Pikachu in these newer game versions.
It's only in the game. Was it in the anime?
I think it was in the cartoon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was in the cartoon, and you can even Google it. Like you'll see pictures of him with or without it. So talking about tails, let's move on to the next one.
Oh my god, is this gonna be a tail envy?
So did Curious George have a tail?
I don't remember a tail too much, so I'm gonna say no.
And you're correct.
Oh,
bing, bing, bing.
Yay.
Next one. Is it Jiffy peanut butter or Jif peanut butter?
Jiffy, right?
It's Jif peanut butter. J-I-F.
Ew, such a weird name.
It doesn't flow.
Yeah, like who says Jif? Like Jif peanut. I want some Jif. No, you say I want some Jiffy.
Just stick to that Peter Pan's peanut butter.
Yeah. Although I'm more of a Skippies kind of guy, so maybe that's why Skippies.
Oh. Okay, next one. A song that we kind of like to do at karaoke sometimes. Aqua's popular song, Barbie Girl. So, is it, I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world? Or is it, I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world?
In a Barbie world.
And it's Barbie girl in the Barbie world.
That's gross.
And this is crazy because if you Google Aqua's Barbie girl song and the first lyrics to come up, it shows the Barbie girl in a Barbie world.
So what's the proof that it was originally in the Barbie world then?
I believe, from what I found on the internet, people consider this a Mandela effect because in the song it's I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world. Like in the song they say it.
That's so strange.
It's very interesting because this is just like a song that we sing and I've never noticed it.
I'm never changing it though. I'm not gonna go with the world.
Yeah, it just doesn't flow.
Yeah, I'm going with A. Sorry.
Okay, so this might be a little throwback for some of you youngins, but was it Smokey Bear or Smokey the Bear?
Smokey the Bear, right?
Yes, it was Smokey the Bear.
Okay, I remember because I never really thought Smokey Bear like rolled off the tongue.
I kind of like Smokey Bear.
It's just like it sounded too much like Yogi Bear, I think, which is the reason I didn't really care
maybe
for
that's
it.
what people were thinking of.
Yeah.
Okay, so what color is the Pillsbury Doughboy's scarf?
Blue.
White.
Ew. What? Really?
Yeah. Now, okay, this is just like some people's mistakes, but this was considered a lesser known Mandela effect. Is it Alaskan Airlines or Alaska Airlines?
Alaskan.
Alaska Airlines.
I feel like I've heard Alaskan Airlines before, though.
Is it because that's what people are remembering, so they're saying it?
Probably. But it's funny because I feel like I've also read Alaska Airlines, and I just never really put it together that it's actually supposed to be Alaskan.
If you look at their website, Alaska Airlines.
That's gross. They should change that. People are really they're gonna be typing Alaskan Airlines, and they're gonna be disappointed when they can't find their website.
So here's another one. 3 Little Pigs. That classic story that it was a bedtime story for us. The wolf said, I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house blank.
Down.
In.
What? Wait. I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in. See, okay. Not to get weird and graphic or whatever, but that sounds kind of sexual at that point. Like, down makes sense. And just like... I don't want to, younger viewers, like, adult censorship, NSFW.
Okay, finally, last one. With another popular, movie that we all know. What does a Cheshire cat from Alice in Wonderland tell her about the people in that world? Is it, we're all mad here? Or most everyone's mad here?
I feel like it's going to be the second one, but I feel like it'd be the first one. I feel like you'd want me to say the first one, so I'm going to say the first one.
And it's not the first one. Apparently, from YouTube videos I watched and more Googling about the Mandela effect, the correct answer is most everyone's mad here. So I've only watched the Alice in Wonderland a couple times. So for our listeners who are diehard Alice in Wonderland fans, you tell me, which one's correct?
Yeah, although I do like the whole like most everyone's
mad here.
Yeah, because it sounds like more like posh and like mysterious.
Kind of mysterious, yeah. So a lot of you may be like, okay, so we didn't remember this correctly. Like maybe it's just bad memory, whatever. What makes this a conspiracy theory? Okay, now this is pretty far-fetched. I don't personally believe it, but this is what people think. Some people believe that the reason behind the Mandela effect is because of our world switching places with another parallel universe. So when these switches happen, little things get changed. Along with another theory that's kind of similar is that on the contrary to what most of us believe, time travel is possible. So people think that someone traveled back in time and changed something very small that it affected our present day.
I mean, okay, I understand. It's fun to think like that. I think it's a little far-fetched to think
it's so far-fetched. Okay, like until science can prove we can time travel, until we can prove that there are these parallel universes, I don't buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, like science is ever growing, and I mean, I want to believe that there's parallel universes, but the fact that we're making these little switches and things like freaking spelling of Bernstein Bears is what's being changed. Like, come on, guys.
See, the problem I'm seeing with like the parallel universe thing is that like you still have the memory of it, which kind of defeats the purpose of a parallel universe because that basically means that like we'd have to like quantum leap through another universe in order to get to where we're at now. You know what I mean? Like instead of because like how a parallel universe works is like you're running on different timelines, right? Or different endpoints, I guess. And so like it wouldn't really make sense for you to say like, hey, like, oh, I believe it's Berenstain Bears, and then like you're on a different timeline where it's Berenstain Bears, and all of a sudden you're like already on that branch, that wishbone branch, and then all of a sudden you jump at the tip. I'm like, no, that doesn't make any sense to me. And that would mean everybody has to make that jump. So either that tip is fusing together to form one giant parallel universe, or one giant universe, I guess, or they're running real close with each other, and it's just like I don't know. Quantum physics, I don't know too much about it.
Quantum physics, I don't even know what quantum physics is.
They're metaphysics.
But, okay, so now that you have kind of like examples and thoughts, Bees, like, what are your overall thoughts on this entire theory?
Okay, so this is my thought. Just to make it more of a layman's term, and this is probably gonna like put a damper on the whole like parallel universe jumping thing or whatever. I think it's kind of like that game of telephone we used to play as kids.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, like where we had to sit around like in a table, like around a circle, and then basically one person starts off with one message, right? And then the object of it is to get all the way around a circle with the same message being transported.
Correct message word for word.
Yeah. And it's like similar to that, right? Where like it like takes like maybe a few people to like just mispronounce it.
Or miss
misspell.
one word.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's just like, okay, well that person will tell that person and another person will tell that person. And it will just like branch off, and then everybody at one point will probably know the same information everybody else knows, but it's not the exact same information. That's my logic behind it. It makes it less fun than time travel, but like, you know, like logically that makes more sense, right?
Yeah.
What about you?
I just kind of think it's interesting that it's, you know, it's not just you and your friends remembering something wrong. It's collective. Like it's, you know, us two and like 8 people in New York probably like thought the same thing, and we don't know each other. So I just think it's cool. I'll use the term loosely, cool, that we all remembered it a certain way. I think it's just, you know, human memory. Like, it's not perfect. So we all just could be remembering it differently. How we are remembering it the same way, I don't know. But I think this is super cool. Okay, I don't want to say conspiracy because I don't know about the time travel stuff, but it's a cool
theory.
Effect.
Yeah. It's a very interesting, I would say it's very thought-provoking, and it is something to think about, like, oh, well, you know, like at that point everybody has this collective one memory of something, even though it's wrong, it's still like...
But how?
Yeah.
How is it the same, you know?
It is pretty cool, though. It's a phenomenon that, you know, really can't be explained.
Until quantum physics can figure itself out, then we can explain the impossible.
Until somebody jumps out of that time machine and going like, hey, whoop-de-doo, I changed it to an E.
Oh, you know that time I dropped my pencil in class? Well, it didn't drop, so just by that happening, I changed the world.
He meant to say, Luke, I am your father, not no, I am your father.
Probably the writer, who, like the screenwriter or whatever, the author, when he wrote that, in one universe, he put, Luke, I am your father. And then, like, let's say his intern spilled coffee on that page. He was like, you dumb intern, like, why did you do that? So he's like trying to meet his deadline. So he's just like, no, I am your father.
Oh my God, I can actually see that scenario play out in my head. Anyways, it's a fun topic though.
Yeah. And I mean, why don't you guys talk about it with your friends?
Yeah.
Like, use the examples that we kind of touched upon. Look up some more. It was really fun writing this piece out. And let us know how it goes.
Yeah, I think it'd be kind of like a fun, like, if anything, it's just like a fun, like, oh my God, like, I can't believe you thought that. Like, I thought that too. Like, what the hell, right?
And they thought it too. Okay, B, so wrap us up with the last conspiracy theory that kind of is going to hit home for a lot of us.
This is definitely, it's not really a conspiracy theory. This one is just a theory. And, you know, like I said, these theories, like most of the theories that would lead up to this, like we weren't really, like we're being more serious and like not nostalgic. This one is
It's
nostalgia.
going to hit you.
It's gonna hit you, and it's gonna make you think, and it's very thought provoking. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have heard of it before. It's called the Pixar theory.
Oh, dang.
Mhm.
Pixar? The Pixar we grew up with?
The Pixar we grew up with.
Okay.
So, B, in short, the Pixar theory is a theory in which all the Pixar movies are tied together, not only in the same universe, but on the same timeline. So this means that every movie has a distinct order in which to be interpreted. Basically meaning that it starts off with one movie and then ends with like another movie, and every movie in between is like a separate story that tells the larger story of the Pixar universe.
Okay, so like one movie will be about us two in Hawaii, while another movie is going to be about like
Bears in Alaska, and then
bears in Alaska.
but we're all together
in the same
in the same
universe.
timeline.
Timeline.
It's kind of the idea of like the ripple effect. Like you'll have one thing that causes another thing to cause another thing. Yeah, like kind of like evolution. Actually, this is very much evolution. We'll go over this a little bit
Okay,
more.
B. Hit me with your best theory.
All right, so before we start, there's a disclaimer. I'm going to read them in order from, like, as far as the theory goes, in order from, like, when it started to when it ends. So there's going to be a lot of B-plots, like, sprinkled in between each movie, but it's going to lead up to and be called back in from later movies in the timeline. So just bear with me. Just kind of take notes if you want to be really invested in this. And again, we're not experts in this. There's lots of, like, little differences in different theories, but this is the theory that I found the most credible, I guess. The one that makes more
Are there
sense.
any disclaimers to the movies themselves?
I think
Spoilers?
there's a lot of spoilers.
Okay, so right now, if you haven't watched a lot of Pixar movies, then please leave now, watch them, come back. We don't want to ruin some good pieces of work for you.
Yeah, just
But when you want to have your mind blown after you watch them, come back.
yeah, just a FYI though, we both didn't watch all the movies on this timeline.
But we know of them.
Yeah. Anyways, so the theory begins with the good dinosaur. Basically, a meteor misses in the Earth, and it triggered a shift in the universe and sets the Pixar theory, into motion. So basically, it's kind of like the idea of like alternate reality almost. So
Like, what if the meteor didn't hit dinosaurs?
exactly. So in the movie, dinosaurs are becoming extinct because humans are taking over, not necessarily because of the ice age.
What's new? What's new?
Yeah.
Like, what's new?
So basically, this is like the obvious starting point. So humans are basically the dominant species. So we get into Brave is the next movie, which is introducing the idea of magic and time travel, which will be called back on way later into the theory. So remember that. So in the movie, the sprites give life to inanimate objects and give animals human-like abilities, as we've seen before. You know,
I
like
remember.
the witch moving knives.
Yeah.
And also like
Turning the mom into a bear.
Exactly. And the witch is also able to turn doors into portals, which again will be called on later. So remember that point. Anyways, next we head into The Incredibles and The Incredibles 2.
Bless.
Of course. So there's not really much spoilers in this, but just remember that this is the introduction to supers and humans as the dominant species. So this is really when the humans are at the dominant place in society. But the biggest thing to note here is that Buddy, the main bad guy, introduces us
Syndrome.
Syndrome. He introduces us to AI technology, which is artificial intelligence. So this is proven by his giant robot. I forget what it's called, but that giant tank at the end of the movie, having being able to read the superhero's powers and then just interpret how to defend itself against them. Next goes into Toy Story and Toy Story 2. So in Toy Story 1, we get introduced to the toys becoming sentient and live alongside humans. So basically, like they're able to interact with people. And this is kind of like the theory that like all toys are kind of made in robot form. So not necessarily that they're living, but that they're artificial intelligence. The second movie, Toy Story 2, we learn that toys cannot live without human interaction and grow resentful to the humans if abandoned. So this is kind of made true by Jessie, how she was abandoned by her owner and then she was really resentful for that. And so you can see this kind of like this defiance in like artificial intelligence to human dominance. Like I said again, there's going to be a lot of B plots. This is one of them. So the next thing we're going to hit on is Coco and Inside Out. So these two are they don't cross the same time, or I guess they kind of like interfere at the same time, but they're just not in the same place. So in Coco, we're introduced to memories as a means of survival. If someone forgets you, you'll die in the second death. So basically, like, you have to be remembered in order to keep continuing to live.
Remember me.
Oh my god, I cried in that movie.
Guys, I was right next to him, and I see him, like, he takes his glasses off, and I'm like, why are you taking your glasses off? You can't see the screen, even though it's that big. He can't see the screen without his glasses. So I look over, and his face is in his elbow, and I'm like, are you crying?
It was a sad moment, okay? Like, whoever watched Coco, like, back me up here. It's a sad movie. It's one of my favorites. I would like to say it's one of my favorite Pixar movies of all time.
Wow.
Anyways, moving on.
Back on the right track, sorry.
Inside Out reinforces the idea of memories as evidenced by Bing Bong sacrificing himself as a memory and dying. This is a big spoiler. I'm sorry, I forgot to warn you guys. In the movie, basically, Bing Bong is a memory inside of Riley's head. So basically, he, in order for joy and sadness to live, he has to sacrifice himself to die and whatever. So basically, the memory fades. Inside Out also introduces us to human emotions, joy and fear, which will be later referenced in the theory. So just remember that joy and fear are sentient emotions. Anyways, moving on, we go into Finding Nemo and Finding Dory. This is like on the same time as Coco and Inside Out is taking place. So in Finding Dory, we find out that Dory was raised in isolation in sea life type exhibitions. Basically, she's like learns how to read, and she's able to like kind of interact more with humans that way. And we also learn that she loses her memory, which is kind of like the reason why she can read, but she doesn't remember things. In Finding Nemo, we learned that the fish have advanced ecosystems seemingly paralleling that of modern day human life. So basically, in this theory, the fish are seen as becoming like the animals that are becoming more human-like and more intelligent, which will trigger the next like uprising in the theory and whatever. We go into Ratatouille, which we start to see that animals are becoming way more intelligent, as seen by Remy, who became almost single-handedly, the greatest chef in Paris. So obviously, like, they're becoming way too intelligent for humans. Which leads us into Toy Story 3. So in Toy Story 3, the AIs have become like really, really angry and from abuse and neglect of humans. And this is kind of where we start seeing like the rise of AI take over, and the introduction to BNL, which is By and Large, which is going to be a really big plot point later on.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I know, right? This is reference to the batteries in Buzz Lightyear's battery pack when he gets his language switched. So that's that. In Up, we see that By and Large is the company that tries to repossess Carl's house in the beginning of the movie. And so obviously we know that By and Large is becoming a big artificial intelligence thing.
Corporate company as well.
Corporate company, kind of like Google. So
Right.
You can see the parallels going on right there. We also see animals starting to communicate with humans, as shown by the talking dog collars, Doug, and then the army dogs. And they're able to not only talk to people, but they can also communicate emotions and how to tactfully, I guess, rescue and like whatever. In the movie they explain that a little bit more, but just know that animals are being able to contact humans. So next we get into Cars 2 and Cars 3.
Wow.
Yeah. So at this point in the timeline, the animals revolted against the humans, and a war between the humans and animals started. So this is kind of where the theory starts. You have to really put your imagination to the test, because there's like a big gap in the timeline that needs to be filled by another Pixar movie in order for this to make a lot of sense.
Pixar, we're on to you.
I know, right? So basically the animals have revolted against the humans, and the machines are aiding the humans because they basically want to take over the human race, but they want to do it economically and not forcefully, which will be explained later in the theory. So the machines aided the humans to win, but the war led to unlivable conditions for humans. That basically meant that By and Large, who helped fund the AI, the AI aid in human resistance, they had to clean up the mess, so they created the Axiom, which is in Wall-E, the big ship.
The axiom is mentioned in Cars?
No, it's not. But this is part of the theory.
Okay,
so
okay. I'm sorry.
This is kind of where
Continue.
it kind of gets like a little bit muddled here. So just
Okay.
bear with me. So the theory states that the BNL funded ship was created to help the students, or not students, the humans escape the unlivable conditions that the war against the animals led. In their place, on Earth, the cars and the machines adapted and took over human life and started to live as humans. So we can see this in Cars. They like have shops, they have an economy going, they have government going, all that stuff. In Cars 2, we see that B&L introduced Alanol, which aimed to turn cars away from greener fuel alternatives. This caused the Earth to become unable to sustain life.
Interesting that they aim to turn cars away from green
Yeah.
fuel alternatives.
See, I remember watching the movie, but I was like not paying attention because Cars 2 was like a really bad movie, so I don't remember too much about it. I do remember all in all, but you know, I'll take what the theory gives me, basically.
Okay, so where does it take you next?
So the next one is Wall-E, which makes more sense because they're on the Axiom. So Wall-E units were sent to clean up the mess of the Earth and reestablish sustainable living conditions for humans to move back. So in the movie, you can see them building really gigantic towers out of trash. Long story short, they saved the human population and started a new beginning to the Earth. So in the movie, if you watched the Wall-E, you remember
Fucking
that,
love
like,
Wall-E.
of course. Who doesn't? You remember that he grew up, he saw like a plant growing, and then so he brought it to the ship to show the captain to bring them back to Earth. But you also know that the robots on the ship didn't want them to come back to Earth. And this is kind of how the theory is triggered a little bit more because they were resentful for the humans coming back to Earth. So they tried to trash the plans away. Long story short, they planted the tree. They planted the shoe tree
The plant.
plant into the ground, and it became this gigantic tree, which leads us to the next movie, A Bug's Life.
No way.
Yeah. So this
Bug's
is like
Life?
Yeah. So it gets
Oh.
like a little bit jumps between different timelines a little bit, but basically, the giant tree that the ants are living in is the boot tree that Wall-E planted in the end of the movie. And according to science, this is actual science now, an ant can live up to 3 months. But in the theory, the ants can live much longer, as stated by the fact that there's old ants, young ants, like ants that said they live for 90 years long and whatever.
They live 90 years without being squished.
I guess so, man. Oh, that also brings up a good point.
Ooh.
Because of the low amount of humans being docked from the Axiom ship from Wall-E, the ants' most dangerous enemies were animals, who were also evolving as we could see from up. So, again, the animals revolted. They took over the Earth along with cars. That's why you can see birds and stuff inside cars.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, humans just came back to Earth. So there's like a finite amount of humans based off the
Right.
fact that there's only so much space in the ship.
Right.
So we move on to Monsters Inc. and Monsters University. This is basically where it pretty much ends.
Okay.
So in Monsters University, or in Monsters Universe in general, we can see that animals fully have evolved into monsters. This is not a fact, but this is based off the theory. So
Right.
the animals have evolved into monsters, and they accidentally kill off the human race and realize that humans are their source of life.
Aw.
So I don't remember why they needed the screams exactly, but I'm sure they stated that in the movie.
Was it fuel to feel their energy?
I think so. Something like it was like air or something like that for them. But
Like electricity or I don't know.
yeah,
It's
but
been a hot minute since we watched it.
I know it's been a while. But anyways, they need the screams in order to live, obviously. So in Monsters University, we can see that they start developing technology to transport monsters back into the human time periods to get scares and go back. So obviously we've seen like the walkthroughs of like demonstrations in Monsters University, how the monsters were developing technology. This kind of coincides with like the idea of like time travel almost, which we'll get to in a minute. So in Monsters Inc., we see that they go in through the doors to get the humans. So what this basically means is that the doors are not only portals to the human world, but they are time travel time travel portal doors in order to get to the human world because again they killed off the human race, right?
Oh, right.
So that means that they had to travel back in time before the humans got killed off so that they can get their scares and come back to their world.
That's interesting because most people think the door just takes them from the monster world to the human world, but I never thought about it as a time machine.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So what's the point of it being a time machine than just a door to like the human world? Like,
I guess there's not really much of a time machine situation as far as like the plot goes. This is kind of where the theory ends, but just remember that like it does play a part, which leads me to the biggest theory of all time. Boo is the witch from Brave. So if you've watched Monsters Inc., you know who Boo is. She's a little girl who follows Sullivan and Mike Wazowski. And if you watched Brave, you know that the witch is the person who gave the spell potion to Merida to give to her mom to turn her into a bear.
And actually, now that you talk about it, Brave had some clues to insinuate that Boo had kind of like a tie to a fluffy creature.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about all of those right now. So let's start off with the very obvious stuff. So we just talked about Boo. She looks eerily similar to the witch.
That's a bit of a stretch, but okay. Use our imaginations.
She has the same eye color, similar features. She's like short and she has like really bulbous eyes. Obviously. And even a few mannerisms. Like she's very, like the witch is very hyper. So is Boo. She follows people around. That's just kind of like, I mean, obviously that's not enough proof to show that she's the witch. So we see that Boo is very attached to Sully. If we follow the theory that monsters evolved from animals, we can see that Boo is really attached to animals. So basically meaning that Boo is attached to animals, much like the witch is attached to animals as well. We also know that the doors can teleport people into the monsters universe. Similarly, the witch has the ability to transport through doors in Brave. So remember that callback I told you about?
Right.
It's coming back again. In Brave, we see that the witch has a carving of Sully on her table.
Yes, I remember that.
This is an Easter egg planted by Pixar, but we don't care. We're using this in the theory. And we also see the elusive Pizza Planet truck on her desk.
Pizza Planet truck. Back in Merida's day.
Which obviously couldn't be invented by then. So what does that tell you? How did she get there? How does she know about this? It's obviously time travel. And in the theory, how do we get time traveling? From Monsters, Inc.
So the end is actually the beginning, and the beginning is the end.
Exactly. Everything gets put back together.
It's a circle.
Yeah. Boo is the key to all that is Pixar. So we piece these together, and then we realize that there's a kind of like a hidden story behind it.
Ooh.
So in some of the theories that I've read, basically it says that at the end of Monsters, Inc., we see that Boo is really sad because she's looking for Sully, right? Like she opens the closet door and she's really sad because she couldn't find him and there's no portal anymore. So what she does is she sets out to find the magic to get Sully back and everything. And on her way, she discovers the sprites, which leads her to like real magic. And she also discovers the technology for the teleportation doors. So now she has access to both time travel and magic. I think in one of the theories it's saying that she was like wanting to she was on the search for him, and so like she ended up way too far back in time. That's why she ended up in Brave. I'm willing to believe that because there's obvious it's just all in fun. So
it's all in fun. Like I was just gonna say that this using your imaginations and what Pixar has given us with these Easter eggs and everything, it's fun to put it together.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about that? Have you heard of the Pixar theory? And obviously it takes some imagination, but that's pretty crazy, the whole Boo story.
Yeah. To be fair though, okay, so this is what happened. When I was researching this theory, the theory first got introduced, I think in 2013. It was right after the release of Cars 3, I believe. No, right after the release of WALL-E, something like that. It was in a nice box or whatever. And so those movies tied in together properly. But then we got introduced to newer movies like Inside Out, Coco, Cars 3, Toy Story 3, or whatever. So like that's when like the pieces have to kind of get muddled in a little bit. So it really just has to do with like how creative your mind can work and like how much your mind is willing to like piece things together in order to make this theory work. So, you know, this is just a fun theory. It's not anything like serious. Like don't you know, you don't have to write a novel about it.
Yeah, like
Although there is a novel about it. Yeah.
if you're curious.
Yeah, there's also a website about it, pixartheory.com.
That's crazy to kind of think like all these movies that we grew up with from when, you know, like we could barely walk, talk, whatever, to like as grown, excuse my language, grown ass adults, like just like Boo from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully this isn't our end, but you know, to present day.
Didn't Toy Story, the first Toy Story, come out when we were born? Like it was the year we were born, right?
95?
Yeah, I believe so.
Wow.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was definitely in the 90s. But yeah, I'm pretty sure 95.
I remember having the VHS of it.
Oh yeah, I remember having the VHS of Toy Story 1 and Toy Story 2, and then Bug's Life.
Oh, Bug's Life is ancient.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
But
whoa, B, I'm kind of mind blown. Like, I mean, if you do use your imagination and kind of piece it together and follow what you were saying, that's crazy. That's super interesting. Do you think Pixar did this on purpose?
No, I think they actually even said this in like a press conference. It's like, we obviously didn't want to, like, we didn't do this and like as part of like whatever, but I think they do appreciate, and I'm pretty sure like every creator like appreciates like these like theories that
the creativity that your fans take to bring your stories even more to life.
Yeah, and I think like a good visual cue that your stories are really well written is the fact that you're able to like fans are able to piece things together that aren't even related to each other, like that connect to each other really well. And so like I think that's kind of just like a nod like of appreciation to Pixar, like, hey, like you did a really good job.
And to use not just 3, 4, 5 movies, but to use like 15.
Every movie, yeah.
To use so many movies to connect it in this one world. That's amazing.
Yeah, this is like better than Marvel.
I will agree with that.
Anyways, I think this episode has gone long enough.
Yeah, so guys, let us know what you thought about like this, well, not fully conspiracy, but conspiracy theory or like
theory podcast.
Yeah. Was this something you like? Do you want to hear it, more of it? Because this is only the tip of the iceberg of what we have on conspiracy theories.
We have so many more. I want to get into unsolved mysteries.
Oh my god, yes.
Those would be so much fun.
Or scary stories.
Oh my god. Or creepypastas. We have so many things to talk about.
So let us know like what you thought about this.
Yeah. Let us know if you have any specific theories you want us to talk about next time. Like let us know and we'll look into it. And just a reminder to you guys that next week is our Halloween special. Or it's going to be a start of our Halloween special. Should we tell them what we're doing or should we wait?
Why don't you guys follow us on social media and start seeing the clues that we're going to leave behind?
Yeah, you'll see a lot of treats for us. Or is it a trick? We'll let you know.
Yeah, so of course, just let us know what you think. We care about what you guys think about this and want to make sure that you guys enjoy it.
Yeah, so I guess that's it.
That's it. Okay, guys, we'll see you on the next pod.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
To Be or Not to Be was directed, produced, and hosted by Michelle Felipe and Austin Chun. Special thanks to our friend Simon for letting us use his office. Music by Joakim Karud, and you can find him on SoundCloud, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Twitter, and iTunes. Licensed under the Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 Unported Share Alike license.
You can find us at To Be or Not to Be, one word, on Instagram and Twitter. And make sure to subscribe and like us on YouTube and SoundCloud.